Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fiore Calls Game. I am your host, Andrew Fiore, here on 321 Media. I have my co-host, Brandon the Con Man Con, back for the first time in a while. And this is one of our biggest shows we've ever had because we are thrilled to have Bryce Whitlow, the founder of the MLB Hall of Pretty Good. And if you haven't heard of this, it honors those obscure players from the 2010s and the 2000s that you remember they had an impact, but they're not quite Hall of Fame worthy. They were just pretty good. But Bryce, your ingenious creation has blown up. We're thrilled to have you on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, and thank you for your kind words about the Hall of Pretty Good. I appreciate that you guys are a fan of it.
Oh, absolutely. I've followed it. I don't know how long I've been following, but I remember before you actually had the hall, and it was more of just a casual page posting like, "Hey, remember this guy?" And you look at it now, and it is blown up. And it's only been what, a year?
It will be 2 years in January when I created the account, and we started voting in April this year. And that's really when it kind of picked up steam. So, not too long, honestly. I've been really surprised by how it's kind of taken off to a certain extent.
So, what gave you the original idea to have the page even before the hall became a votable aspect?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to try and find a way to stay connected to the game of baseball. I quit playing after high school. I wasn't very good, but I still had a really big love for the game. And, sports media jobs aren't just like handed out to anybody. I didn't go to school for that type of thing. I work in education at an elementary school. And so I just wanted to try and find a way to stay involved with the game I love and also appreciate, some players that are maybe underrated or undervalued. So that's why I created this account just to have some fun and stay connected to baseball.
Yeah, it's certainly been a lot of fun. And like we were just talking about, it was more of a casual thing, and then it picked up steam. When did you start to realize this thing was going to be big?
Kind of like I started voting, like I said, in April, and kind of right when that happened, we voted in Steve Cishek as our first member, a former reliever for the Marlins, is where he's most known, and he kind of picked up the vote and typed out a little speech. And once that happened, I was just like, wow, these players are kind of noticing what we're doing here. That's crazy. And then after that, it seemed like one player after another just slowly picked up on it when we had a vote, and now it's kind of at the place it is now. So I'd say around April of this year when we started voting is when I started to notice it gaining some steam.
And how did you make that switch of making it a votable thing, making an actual hall of pretty good, as opposed to just a fun tribute page?
Honestly, it wasn't really a well thought out idea. I was just kind of bored and had some downtime at work. And I was just like, hey, what if we just voted on people every now and then? And so then I just quickly threw up a player and thought of some rules on the spot. And then I didn't really expect it to pick up like it did. I didn't know if it was going to be a weekly thing or a daily thing. I just kind of threw it out there one time. And people really liked the idea. So I just took it and ran with it.
So awesome. And I didn't realize the player responses started as early as they did. So that must have been stunning for you to see these guys actually respond to what you're making.
Yeah, it was so cool just to know that somebody I grew up watching, noticed a post I made for them, appreciating them. And I hope the players like knowing that we still value them as fans, even, 5 to 10 years after they've retired.
And your most recent vote was the first ever pretty unanimous vote. Adam Jones, of course, getting over, what was it, 99% of the vote?
Yeah, he got 99% of the vote. I wish Instagram gave me decimals so I could see, was it 99.6, 99.2? It doesn't give me that type of information, just the straight up percentage. So 99% of the vote, which is crazy to get 49,000 people to agree on something that firmly.
I'm surprised anybody voted no on him. I mean, he's like the quintessential Hall of Pretty Good guy. I mean, they had that whole ceremony for him and everything. But you had him collaborate on one of the posts about his induction. Is that anything you could have ever imagined?
No, I own an Adam Jones jersey. I grew up in Virginia, so I went to Orioles games every summer. He played in the first MLB game I ever went to when I was 7 years old. So the fact that he, posted something with me just it meant the world to me. I really I never expected anything like that when I started, and I feel super thankful for it.
Yeah, and Con, feel free to hop in at any point here. I don't mean to steamroll, but so much comes to mind just from hearing all these names and stories. And I've gotta ask because I was wondering. I know you're a Red Sox fan. I don't know if I do know that. Okay, perfect.
Correct.
So you're growing up in Virginia. How did that come about?
I really couldn't tell you. As far as I can remember, I've just always been a Red Sox fan. I don't have a specific reason. There's not like a family member who put me onto them. I've just always loved the Red Sox for as far back as I can remember. I mean, as a kid, I'd go to school in, Ortiz, Ellsbury, Pedroia jerseys. So just as far back as I can remember, I've just always been a Red Sox fan. I don't really have an honest answer as to why.
Yeah, you chose right, brother. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know it.
I'm from Mass. I've been a all Boston sports guy my whole life. Um, it's the way to go. It's best fan base there is, and even after this year, they gave us a little bit of a show. So um, yeah, all I can say is you chose right.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what we've seen the last few years, this season was definitely a treat, I'd say. Just to have some excitement at all, just any type of excitement was good.
This always knocks me out when I hear Sox fans being like, "Oh, we've had it so rough." I'm a Mets fan for reference, so I'm like, "You guys, your down years are our up years."
Yeah, no,
But
I'm not going to claim that we have it rough as Red Sox fans, but the last 3 seasons were a bit rough compared to how we used to be. I guess I'm a little spoiled, you could say.
no, I'll give you that for sure. But I noticed you, if I'm remembering this correctly, at one point the Portland Sea Dogs invited you up to throw the first pitch. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so actually, I guess in a way, I kind of invited myself. What I did was I sent their general manager an email, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan. Can I throw out the first pitch?" And then like an hour later, he emailed me back and said, "Let's do it. Pick a date." And so then next thing I know, I got to go on the field, throw out the first pitch, and I mean, it was just an awesome experience to be on that field where so many of the legends that we grew up watching played on. I mean, it was just a surreal feeling.
That's awesome, dude. And I've noticed a lot of minor league teams have started following you as well.
Yeah, that's been so cool. I just seeing all these minor league teams. I don't even know how they hear about me, but it's so awesome that they do. Like the Orioles AA and AAA team recently followed me after we inducted Adam Jones, and so they voiced their support for him in the comments as well. And so it's really cool to see all these different people and organizations from baseball kind of join in and make this Hall of Pretty Good feel way more legitimate than I ever thought it would.
I mean, it's absolutely unreal. Where you started. For those that don't know, Bryce's account is at 162,000 followers now, and he started it less than 2 years ago. That is an amazing. I mean, that's. I bet you couldn't even fathom that. You probably didn't start it for the following. Like you said, you started it for to give recognition to these players that we loved growing up. Um, did you have any goals set in mind for this account, or was it just solely like I want to show appreciation for some of these guys who may not get the appreciation that they deserve after they retire?
It might sound a little corny to say, but I really had no expectations of building a following. I liked when I started, I kind of thought of it as like my personal journal just for baseball. Like I had a thought about a player, I'd tweet it, screenshot it, post it. I'd clip a video of a highlight I remember and post it. And that's all it ever really was gonna be. I remember, it's funny as it sounds. I like texted my mom one time, be like, "Mom, I got 1,000 followers. Like people are listening to me now." And then to see where it's at now, like I never expected it, but I'm really grateful for it. It's opened up a lot of cool opportunities for me, but I had no expectations. I never really geared it towards like the algorithm or whatever, or building a following. It just kind of happened organically, which felt really awesome to me.
I feel like a lot of your followers are very organic, just baseball lovers too, and that's what's so great about the account is it brings so many like-minded individuals together. I don't know if you know how much you were on my like you would show up as a recommended post, like your post would show up as recommended for me before I even followed you. It was just screaming at me like follow this guy. He's posting some great stuff. So your outreach is great. What you've been doing has been working. Do you have any tactics now? You want to keep up with that following base, expand to more people, find, people that are like you. Do you have any, I don't know, I guess tactics, strategies, to create more engaging content? Because the content creator must have just come out of left field for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily have a strategy. More so, just I plan on kind of just to keep doing what I've been doing, just posting, a bunch every single time I think of a baseball thought. Just get the post out there. I don't really focus that much on likes or views. Obviously, sometimes I do. I'm not gonna lie. Like if I see a post of mine get like 100,000 views or 10,000 likes, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. But I try not to make it like make or break, with everything I do. And usually, I've always thought when I see it happen, if it's a genuinely cool post that people like, the word will get out there. And so I just keep making, the type of content I want to make and hope people enjoy it. I don't really have a strategy or a plan. It just kind of happens when it happens for me, honestly.
One of the things you were doing for a while, and I want to say you still do it. I don't know. You know better, obviously, but posting the song lyrics, usually a breakup song to a player from a team, and then them on a team that's clearly not the one you associate them with. Like it'll be like Betts on the Red Sox next to Betts and the Dodgers, and like a breakup lyric, and then more Red Sox that left. Where did that come from? Because those are some of your best posts.
I just thought it would be kind of funny to do. Honestly, I like music. Sometimes I get a song stuck in my head, and I'll be like, "Oh, that'll work perfectly for this." And it's funny you say that. I actually have one queued up for later tonight in a few hours. So I do still do it occasionally. I did all 30 teams at one point, and so I just kind of took a few months off, and now I'm circling back because there's new free agents that left, new trades that have happened, and so it's now kind of more of a fresh idea again. But I do still do it. And I'm glad you appreciate those. Those are like my favorite ones to make, and they're a lot of fun.
I just hope I never see Pete Alonso on one, but
I'm afraid
is
you will,
there?
probably.
I know.
You're not safe, Fiore.
If he wants 7 years, just give it to him at this point. I don't care anymore. But
7 years is wild, and not to get off
it
topic,
is.
I'd be like, I've heard the Red Sox are a little interested potentially. I'd feel a little nervous about going 7 years, but for the Mets, I feel like it makes more sense since he's already been there.
We can afford it. Like I'm at a point
Yeah,
like now that we have Cohen, there shouldn't really be a limit to what we do.
correct.
To put it bluntly, I mean, if you asked me during the Wilpon era, I would have been like, "Oh, there's got to be a salary cap. It's so unfair." My tone's changed a little bit on that in the last 5 years. So as
Yeah.
long as we have it, just keep them here, no matter what. But I had a thought, and I don't know if this is something you can actually tell or if you have a guess on.
Mhm.
Um, is there a team's fan base that you think follows your account more? Like,
Oh,
what's the team that has the most fans looking at your account?
it's hands down the Red Sox. It is. Those posts always do the best. We vote on one of their players that gets the most love, and it's because I'm a Red Sox fan and I'm not always shy about it. I try not to show a ton of bias and post about every team, and for the most part, I think I do an okay job. But I would say the majority of my posts, if I had to pick a team, are centered around the Red Sox, and so I think naturally they've come in, and then doing things like you said, throwing out the first pitch at the Sea Dogs game that also brings in Red Sox fans. And so I would have to say Red Sox fans are definitely big. And probably second would be Pirates fans because I do that little running gag about everyone buying the Pirates together someday. And so I get a lot of love from Pittsburgh too, which is awesome.
That bringing that up, for our viewers who haven't seen, Bryce has a plan to save the Pittsburgh Pirates. If he can get his follower count high enough to where it's affordable for every one of his followers, we can all chip in and buy the Pirates and save them from their current mess. The numbers in the 8,000s, if I remember off the top of my head now.
I believe it's $8,132 a person, which I can't currently pay my share yet. But we'll just get it down a little bit and then I can afford it, a few thousand away.
If is there a number that you have in your head where you think you might actually be able to pull the trigger on it for like is
If it
there a
was like
number where
If it was like $2,000 a person, I feel like we could get it done. I feel like $2,000 is pretty obtainable for the average like full-time employee if you work hard enough to save it. So I think if we could get it down to $2,000, I think we can make a move if Bob Nutting's willing to sell.
Definitely something that could happen one day. Um, I was a little more on your personal life before we get into everybody's waiting for the like remember when conversation that's coming, but you said you've been a Sox fan since you were like 7. Was there a point in your life where you found that love taking the next step? Like, for example, for me, like I loved the Mets from when I was little, but then ever since 2015, it's hit different after that World Series run. Like, is there like a moment like that for you where it just how deeply involved you were in the game just elevated?
Yeah, so and it actually doesn't have anything to do with the Red Sox, funnily enough. So I referenced my first MLB game I ever went to when I was 7 or 8. It was an Orioles game and they played the Blue Jays. Rich Hill pitched for the Orioles actually, which was really cool. But that game went to 12 innings, and then Melvin Mora, the third baseman for the Orioles, hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 12th. And I can still, even though it's been years ago, I think it was like 2009, 2010, I can still remember the energy from the crowd when that ball hit off the bat. And ever since then, I really think I've just been in love with the sport. I mean, that was such a perfect first game to go to. I'm so glad my parents took me. Ever since then, though, I've just been addicted to baseball, I'd say.
Who were they playing?
They were playing the Blue Jays. Ricky Romero started for the Blue Jays.
How many ballparks have you been to?
I've been to 5, I believe. Let's see. Let me count. Fenway, Nationals, Camden Yards to see the Orioles. I saw the Braves' new stadium, and I've been to Pittsburgh as well. So 5.
Gotcha. I actually have a bit more. I'm at 7. I didn't think
Wow.
I'd have more, but maybe because I live closer to New York, so those two are right there. Um, but yeah, I mean that's just impressive how far back your love for the game goes, and clearly a lot of these guys stick to you in your heart, and I can relate to that. But let's get into talking about some of the guys. So I was brainstorming some names here, and Khan's gonna help me out on this a little too. I'm gonna give you a name, and you have to tell me off your gut, not thinking about the stats or anything, whether you think this guy can get into the Hall of Pretty Good.
Oh, this will be fun.
So I've got
Yeah.
Khan and I both have been brainstorming. I'm gonna start with a name I forgot existed until like an hour before showtime. Chris Archer, Rays and Pirates legend.
No, he will not. And it's because of that Pirates and Rays trade. People will not get over that, even though I think it's a bit overblown in today's landscape because, Austin Meadows had one great season, didn't really do too much after that. I know he battled mental health struggles. You got Shane Baz, he's a bit of a question mark with his health, and the Rays don't even have Glasnow now. But people cannot get over how bad that trade was at the time. That narrative's already been made up, so I would say no, no hesitation.
Would you vote no?
I vote yes for just about everyone. I've only voted no one time.
Who was that?
Darwin Barney. I voted no for Darwin Barney.
That's hilarious because I was looking at the list with Khan right before you hopped on this call, and I said, "Am I insane or I just don't remember Barney?" And he pulled up his stat page and was like reading me the info.
Yeah,
Out of all the names, that's crazy.
yeah.
I remembered.
He
What's
won a
crazy?
gold.
I remembered him as a Blue Jay, and not a Cub or a Dodger.
Oh, really?
I'm actually surprised that I remembered that though.
Yeah, he had a very memorable Gold Glove, but I don't know. I try to stay as positive as possible on the page, but if I compare him to other infielders that are in, it's just not quite there. I mean, I still think you're pretty good if you make it to the show regardless. But for what we were doing with voting, I totally understand. He got 19% of the vote, which is the lowest anybody's ever gotten. I don't think anybody's gotten below 25% other than him. So that's kind of how the fans felt when they voted for him.
Glad I'm not alone with not remembering him that well. Yon Makanda, or I might have butchered the pronunciation.
Yohan
You know who I'm
Yohan
talking about.
Makata, he's gonna be a no once again. He had maybe one or two good seasons, but people are going to think about his potential and what he could have become. You know, Red Sox prospect, hyped up a lot, traded in the Chris Sale deal, and then kind of just faltered with the White Sox injuries, performance. The stats might look okay, but people who watched him play are going to vote no. And I think it would be tough for him to get in.
He's kind of the face of that 2021 White Sox in terms of like the missed potential there.
Yes.
So I definitely see that. Kyle Farnsworth, who I have a bobblehead of from the 2012 Tampa Bay Rays.
Have you guys seen how jacked he is now, by the way?
Just gonna say.
It's insane. I'm going to give him a yes. We've had a tough time with relievers, but he had such a long career. I know the longevity didn't help LaTroy Hawkins recently in a vote, but I do like Farnsworth. And one important piece of this, too, in the voting, other than stats, is if they're still kind of culturally relevant, I would say. And him getting jacked like that still gets posted on baseball accounts all the time. And I honestly think, as funny as it sounds, that would help him. And so I would give him a yes, probably.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw those posts go on, I'm like, that's the obscure guy I have the bobblehead of. I wouldn't have heard of him any other way except for that bobblehead when I went to a Rays game. The start of that game was Matt Moore. What do you think about him?
Matt Moore, wow. I mean, he made a run at Cy Young, I think, at one point as a starter. And then he had some inconsistent good and bad relief years. I think all in all, he's got a good chance, I think. I think people like him a lot. And I do too. And he was memorable on those Tampa Bay Rays teams when I was growing up. So I do think he has a chance, yes.
It was Matt Moore bobblehead day when I went and they gave away the James Shields and Kyle Farnsworth ones as well. Only the Farns one and the Shields ones remain at my house, and both are broken sadly. But that game, I found out years later looking at Baseball Reference, it was the day before Ichiro got traded from the Mariners to the Yankees, and that's who
Oh,
Seattle or Tampa was playing Seattle. And
you
Ichiro
just
made
missed
a catch.
him.
No, we saw it. It was the day
Oh,
before.
the day before. Sorry.
No, you're good. It was his last day as a Mariner before he eventually came back, and he made a catch at the wall in the first inning.
That's
So
amazing.
random tidbit there. But here's a more obscure one. Rene Rivera.
Rene Rivera, the catcher, I'm gonna say he just doesn't have enough compared to other catchers. I mean, we saw Lucroy get inducted recently, and I don't think no offense to him, I don't think he comes anywhere close to those numbers. He's also not as memorable, I would say, and so I'm gonna go no on him. But that's a good pull right there, though.
Got his autograph in the parking lot of McCoy Stadium once.
That's awesome.
Ben Revere.
Ben Revere is like my all-time favorite player. Yes, yes, no hesitation. I love Ben Revere so much.
He was supposed to be the next big threat in the NL East.
Ben Revere, I believe he led the league in hits at one point with the Phillies. He had a great run with the Blue Jays. The Nationals gave away like a garden gnome of him at one point. I have it because I'm such a big Ben Revere fan. One of my friends sent it to me. And so I gotta say yes on Ben Revere. He's one of my all-time favorite players.
What drew you to him?
I just I like I kind of like the guys who hit high average and can steal 30 bases. And it might be a bit of an old school thought. And I still like the 30 homers, hit 230 type of guys too. I like them all. But he reminds me Chandler Simpson with the Rays as somebody that can kind of carry on his legacy, I feel like. I just thought he was always doing something exciting. I remember he hit a triple and did like a somersault on the way to third base one time. And he's always making diving catches. It also took him like forever to hit his first career home run. And so I always thought it was fun to root for him to finally hit his first home run. I think he went the longest anybody ever has to start their career without hitting a home run. And so he was just somebody I liked rooting for. He seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I've got this one to me should be a yes, but I threw it on there anyway. Andre Ethier.
Oh, automatic. Him and Matt Kemp in that outfield for the Dodgers was special. 100% yes.
That's the same type of guy as like Adam Jones in my head. Like
They're definitely I would say they're definitely in the same tier of player. Ethier for whatever reason might not have the same legacy as Jones. I just feel like Jones was a bit more beloved in Baltimore, and maybe Ethier was overshadowed by Kemp. But when you look at them side by side, there's not too much of a difference, really.
Here's someone we were talking about. 2014 ALCS MVP Lorenzo Kane.
Oh, he's a slam dunk. He might go 95% or above.
Yeah.
Those Royals teams are so beloved in general, too. We saw Eric Hosmer got in kind of early to the voting with 88%. And I love Hosmer, but Kane, I think, is a step or two above him numbers-wise. And so Lorenzo, he might compete with like Adam Jones territory when the day is done.
I think I voted against picturing you just said the name. I'm blanking because I was just thinking Hosmer. Wow. I think I voted against Hosmer out of pure spite for 2015, but I associate Kane with 2014, so it's forgivable because they were more likable for me for obvious reasons. Andrew Miller.
Andrew Miller is an automatic. I mean,
yeah,
prime Andrew Miller was putting up Hall of Fame numbers for a reliever, honestly. And he came up as a starter, I believe, and then transitioned slowly into an effective reliever with Boston. And a great bullpen piece. A lot of teams would pick him up for October. So I definitely a yes. Really memorable, too. He's got to be a yes.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I saw him implode actually. My first game at Fenway was the Austin Jackson catch game. One of your
pretty
Hall of
good.
Fame. Yeah, he fell over the bullpen wall. That game was like 5-0, and then it was I don't know what happened to the camera here. 7-5. They just kept going back and forth. There was Indians and Red Sox, and it ended with a walk-off home run by Christian Vasquez. But Miller played in that game, and I believe he gave up. He might have given up the winning run. But that's what I always think of with him. Here's someone I was just telling you before we went on air that I didn't know was obscure until recently. Brian Wilson.
Yeah, Brian Wilson, to me, he's so memorable because of those Giants teams. I feel like he's got it. Yeah, the beard, or fear the beard, you know. I feel like he just seemed huge. He seemed like a big personality type of guy when he played, too. I feel like the end of his career, nobody talks about him with the Dodgers at the end. But I believe he had a really nice season with them towards maybe his second to last year as well. I think he's got to be a slam dunk. He feels like an iconic reliever from that early 2010s era. And those Giants teams in general are almost like a dynasty when you win that many times on those even years. And he was a big factor in at least two of those teams, so I think he should be in.
Easily, I agree. Somebody that Khan pointed out is still playing, which blew my mind. Alex Cobb.
I couldn't even tell you what team he's on. Is he on the Guardians now? Like
he was on the Guardians last year and the Tigers this year, apparently. I didn't know that until we were talking about it, but I think of the 2013 Rays with him.
Yeah, he's always a Raid in my mind as well. I think he's got a good shot. He's battled some injuries and stuff, obviously. I think he was injured this year, I believe. I couldn't even remember what team he was on. And I feel like I watch a lot of baseball, but his good years were good, and so I think he's got a shot. Yes.
Jeremy Hellickson, when thinking about those 2013 Rays.
Former
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year winner, yes. I'm not sure he has the longevity. Would be something that would hold people back. They seem to value guys that play for about 10 seasons or more. Not that somebody playing less than that couldn't get in, but I think it would be tough for Hellickson, honestly. I would probably lean towards no if you told me to just guess what the outcome would be.
How about Juan Lagares?
People have a lot of love for him. I mean, he played outfield. It was amazing, Like they'd say like 70% of the earth is covered by water, the other 30% is covered by Juan Lagares, I mean, special outfielder. It just depends on if Mets fans catch on to the post, really. I think they could single-handedly almost get him in because Mets fans, they seem very active on social media in general. And so I do think there's a chance he could get in. And I would say he's deserving, honestly.
2014, I know Gold Glove, and yeah, we're active on social media for the better and for the worst. Russell Martin,
amazing catcher. Some iconic moments too for those Pittsburgh teams. I mean, he would be a slam dunk, without a doubt.
Con, I gotta give you a chance here because I had my list and I also just kept thinking of more in the moment. I
No,
gotta
you're
give
good.
you.
You're absolutely churning right now. I wanted to technically I think he's still playing. I think he's with the Red Sox minor league teams, but I don't know why he just came to mind as like a really gritty catcher, Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah, Yasmani, he was granted his release earlier this season. You are correct
That's right.
about him.
Yeah.
You are correct about him playing in the minor leagues this year with the Red Sox, though. And then I heard rumblings that he was debating retirement, but I haven't heard anything since. But I mean, he's a switch hitting catcher with close to 200 bombs and at least one All Star appearance. I think maybe more. I'm not quite sure on that. He's got to be a slam dunk. I mean, he would be such a great addition as a catcher to the Hall. I could see him getting over 80% of the vote.
The reason I was asking was just because of the fall off, and then when I looked him up, remembered like I you saying that he asked for his release. Like I remember seeing all the ESPN and Twitter notifications about Yasmani Grandal just being a Red Sox follower and whatnot. Um, don't know why he popped into my head, but I also thought he would be a slam dunk. But because of the last couple of years, kind of tainted his career a little bit because of how hard he fell off. But tail end of his career, so
Yeah, I think in a few years too, people will kind of forget about that and just look at the career as a whole. And then that like recency bias, once it's out of the window, if we vote on him a few years down the road, people aren't going to remember that nearly as well. They'll just look at those last few years as adding to his counting stats. And so I think he'd be a slam dunk.
I think of those really good Dodgers teams in like 2017 and 18 when I think of him. How about Tyler Clippard?
Tyler Clippard's got to be an automatic. Like, what a great reliever. I mean, Nationals legend. And he played for a bunch of teams. I remember him with the Nationals best, though. I think he's another guy that made an all star team or two as well. I mean, it's really solid reliever for so long. I mean, he was probably pushing 40 by the time he finally quit. I mean, really great pitcher. The ERA is good, which is what a lot of, more casual type of fans will look at. Just easy stats to read like that. He's got to be in. He might go inner circle, which is 90% or above, honestly.
Sticking with Mets 2015 free agency or trade deadline acquisitions, Juan Uribe.
Juan Uribe is an automatic. I mean, he's a legend. That's the way I like to describe him. I posted about him like a week ago, and he actually followed me back, which was really cool because I feel like every team at the deadline wanted to acquire Juan Uribe for the playoff push, and he was always going to help you out no matter what he did. I mean, he could do okay at third base, wherever you put him in the field, and he could hit. He had power. I mean, he was just a nice player to have around, is how I would describe him in a sentence.
And I can't. Anytime I even think of Juan Uribe, I have to also mention Kelly Johnson. That's just like a pair in my head. So how about Kelly?
He's gonna have a bit of a tougher time. I'm not sure the numbers or the accolades quite stack up to maybe what your Juan Uribe did. But he is a fun footnote because I believe he played for every single AL East team during his career, including other teams like the Mets, like you mentioned. And so stuff like that, people like and appreciate stuff like that. And I mean, you got to be good if that many teams want you in my book. So I could see it happening. I would not be surprised.
I
How
had
about
somebody else in
Addison
mind.
Reed? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Con.
My bad. Um, I had somebody else in mind too. I don't know why. Just completely popped in my head. More of a recent Red Sox legend. Well, recent enough in my mind. Steve Pearce.
Steve Pearce, he's got to get in off that World Series MVP alone, I
Right?
feel like.
That's what I was thinking.
And like I said, Red Sox fans are a big presence on the page, especially when we vote on a Red Sox guy. And so I really think it could be enough to carry him all the way into the Hall pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Addison Reed, one of my favorite relievers ever.
What a season he had with the Mets. What was it, 2016, I think?
Yes,
Yeah. What a year he had. I mean, he spent some time with the Red Sox as well.
he
I
did.
I think he could make a push too, just off that season alone. Was it him? And then I think Aaron Loop has like an iconic season for the Mets as well
Yeah,
a few years ago, around
2021.
that same time. Yeah. And so guys like him always have a chance. You pitch one season like that, I mean, people are going to remember that for years.
Addison Reed was monumental in the wild card run, and I read that same game, the Austin Jackson game at Fenway that I was talking about. That was his Reed's first appearance with the Red Sox. I was just so heartbroken because he was like the guy out of our bullpen, the one guy I could trust.
Yeah.
Just a stud out of the pen. But Con, I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I'm trying not to botch the name. Another random player that popped up in my mind. Might be more recent. Andrelton Simmons. I was just thinking because I saw JBJ, of course, in the Hall of Pretty Good, and that's one of the first posts that popped up on my feed. And I was thinking, who are some other like good defensive guys? Well, I remember Simmons as a defensive guy. I could be completely wrong, but
No, you're
I don't
right.
know. He popped up in my mind. What are our thoughts on that?
Well, it's funny. I'm actually not going to give you my thoughts on him because that is who we are voting on tomorrow. Funnily enough, for
I did not know that.
yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, that is the wheel spun him. I put it on my Instagram channel last weekend just to let people know that it's coming. But yes, that is who we are voting on tomorrow. So I'm gonna abstain just for now. But I think it's pretty clear where he should go. I mean, a few great seasons, one elite season with the Angels in 2017, I think. But yeah, defensive legend. But yeah, we are voting on him tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yeah, so I was gonna say you heard it here first, folks, but this episode will be airing tomorrow at 1. So it'll be only by a little bit, but I have a prediction to make. I think he's gonna get 95% or more.
I could totally see that happening. I would not be surprised.
He is somebody who's like the poster child of like remember when. I think of him with the Braves and Angels. He had that one elite season. I see it always get brought up. People call him the best defensive player ever. I've seen that online. So I think that should be a shoe-in. That's gonna be another really entertaining one like Adam Jones.
Yeah, he's the first primary shortstop we've ever voted on too, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow.
I mean, I know which way I'll be voting. I can tell you that much.
How about Ruben Tejada?
Ruben Tejada. I'm gonna go no. I don't think the career was long enough, and I know it's not his fault. I mean, we know the Silver Fox Chase Utley kind of cut him down in his prime, so to speak. But he's more of a what if, unfortunately, than an automatic pretty gooder in my mind.
Is Cespedes too good?
He is not too good. Thanks to him coming in his mid-20s, he perfectly fits the criteria that I have. And so we're kind of helped out. The same thing happened with Hideki Matsui. He was somebody that if he came up at 21, 22, he probably would be too good. But because he came up in his mid-20s, he perfectly fits the WAR criteria that we have. And so he is not too good, and he is eligible for the Hall of Pretty Good.
That's going to be a slam dunk vote.
Yeah.
I can see that coming. Even non-Mets fans, the Sox fans will remember him. Even the A's fans out there. Yeah, I in my head I'm like, no, he's too good, just because I have 2015 in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Con, you got anyone else?
I more so just kind of wanted to. I had a question. When looking through, you have a pin post of all the people that have made it, and then the people who were nominated that didn't make it. One of the comments was, "Can we add a mouse emoji for those who hit like what's your criteria? It's 65% or higher in their end."
Yes.
Somebody asked if you would put a mouse emoji next to the people who like barely made it in, who were like on the fence. Would you ever consider like adding more of the percentages and maybe a updated post to the Hall?
Yeah, that's something I definitely should do. I believe I have a full record of everything like that. I just have to dig through my notes and find it. But to answer kind of that question of who just barely squeaked in, there's been two that have come, very close and just barely made it in. Ricky Weeks had 65% on the dot, and then Josh Reddick had 66%. So those two have been the closest ones that just barely squeaked in.
Josh Reddick kind of surprises me because he was a name that stuck out to me growing up. I mean, I didn't pay much attention to stats when I was younger, but like he was always a guy in the outfield that was like, okay, again, maybe it's just one of those white boy names, easy to remember, that just sticks with me. But that's actually surprising to me that he squeaked in. Why do you think that is?
The 2017 Astros scandal is definitely what brought him down. If he's never on that 2017 Astros team, he probably gets 75% to 80% of the vote, I bet. And he's also he's very I love him, by the way. I'm a big fan. He's very vocal about going after people that try to insinuate that he cheated too. And some people don't like that. He will go right at them in the comments. He's done it on my post probably 20 times. So he's not afraid to speak up. And so I think it's cool that he does that because I think it's really cool when an athlete gives you access to themselves like that. But some people don't like that. And so that definitely brought down his percentage.
I almost forgot that he was a part of that team. For some reason, I thought
totally
he
forgot.
left. Yeah, I thought he left before that. I don't know why. But yeah, that would do it. And I feel like a non-ball knower for not remembering that.
Yeah, I forgot too. I'm very anti 2017 Astros. I'm one of the few people my age that's like no steroid users, no Astros in the hall. I'm in the minority there now, which is so weird because it used to be the predominant thought. But what I'm hearing from what you're saying about Reddick is that he's somebody that you could hook up with on social media and say, ask him to come on your show.
If he notices you, he doesn't always see everything because he is a busy guy. He's got a pretty large amount of followers. But if he sees you, I wouldn't be shocked if he would be willing to do it.
I'll keep that in mind. What is your favorite baseball video game from like your childhood or whatever?
Honestly, I grew up in a strict household where video games were not allowed. And so
Really?
my first time owning a console of any kind was a PS5 that I bought about a year and a half ago now. And so I've only played video games, kind of all the time, I guess for lack of a better term, not really all the time, but in my daily life for about 2 years now. So I played some at friends' houses. I think my favorite would be, I believe it's '09 Little League World Series on the Wii. I bought a Wii after when I became an adult just so I could play that game again. And that's one that I feel like a lot of people don't pick. I've heard MVP Baseball '05. I also bought a PS2 a few years ago so I could play that as well. And I do like it a lot. So I don't really have any childhood memories necessarily of playing video games, but I've played all the iconic ones at this point.
I was a Mario Super Sluggers kid growing up. I That is the game. Like even in college, I would bring my Wii to college, and my roommates and I would play all the time. It's not like a good game fundamentally. It's so goofy, but it's just you don't play items, you don't play nothing. That's one of those games. If you have not played it, even if you're in your 20s like us, you got to give it a try. It is so much fun.
I've only played that game one time as a kid at a friend's house, and I don't remember anything about it. So I think I'm gonna have to go search on eBay for it on the Wii or something like that.
I was a Wii only household, like for basically until like the last like 5 years when I got a Switch. But literally, like one of the only things I would play was MLB 2K10, which is
Hmm.
what made me think of the question. That and Bigs 2. If you don't know Bigs 2, you probably do. Somebody's probably pointed this game out to you, but Prince Fielder's on the cover,
Yep.
arcade style baseball. My brother has run up the score to like 99 on it. It's just fun and it's filled with like Hall of Gooders. It's just all those names that bring you back.
Yeah, I haven't played that one, but I know of it. Obviously, I knew he was on the cover, and that's one that's right up my alley in the era it was created in. So that's another one I do need to purchase and try out for myself.
Are there any teams like from particular years that have a special place in your heart? Like, for example, the 2014 Orioles or something like that. Like with just ragtag groups of guys that didn't win it all, but just stand out for you.
A team that stands out for me is the 2015 Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like if you look at that roster, I mean, my goodness, it's Troy Tulowitzki, Jose Bautista, Encarnacion. They got Ben Revere, one of my favorite players at the deadline, and he hit around 300 for them. I mean, that it's just a loaded team on paper. And I say on paper like they didn't accomplish much. I believe they made it to the ALCS. So it wasn't like
They
they
did.
were a failure. But I believe that's the year they also acquired David Price at the deadline too. I mean, as far on paper, that team is just amazing. And then they lost to, the Royals. Like the Royals wound up winning it all, which is just so how much on point for how baseball works sometimes. But if you look at that Toronto Blue Jays roster, I mean, it just looks like a super team on paper.
You know who else was on that 2015 Blue Jays roster?
Who?
Darwin Barney.
Yeah. Of course he was.
The man of the hour. I think he was traded for that year, if I'm not mistaken, because he started that year with the Dodgers. I think it says on Baseball Reference.
I
So
mean, maybe
that
if
was
they
obviously
would
their
have,
biggest. That was obviously their biggest deadline move, of course.
maybe if they would have won a ring, he would have gotten like 25% of the vote instead of like 19. I could have helped his case out.
Well, today's actually the anniversary of the Bautista home run, which a lot of people forget the inning leading up to that home run. I feel like you see the gif and the clip of the home run itself, but that inning, the seventh inning, was nuts in that game five. Just an unforgettable series.
It definitely is. I mean, that bat flip. I mean, when you think of bat flips, I feel like anyone our age, I'm 23, so I feel like people around my age, that's what they think of. It's the definition of a core memory for a baseball fan.
Unreal, that team. There's some fun series. Like sometimes even just seeing an old playoff series just evokes so much nostalgia. Like I think of uh Tigers A's. Remember when that was back to back 2012 and 2013, and it's when Sonny Gray was the next big thing.
Yeah, I do. It's shocking to me that those Tigers teams never went all the way. With some years they had that rotation, and then they had Prince Fiore, Miguel Cabrera, and Victor Martinez, all racking up MVP votes, and they in a late stage Torrey Hunter who could still get it done, and then they ran into that magical Red Sox team in 2013. The Red Sox that year seemed like a team of destiny. I mean, it's shocking that they just couldn't get over the hump, but they're one of the best teams I've ever seen in my life.
They had Anibal Sanchez following Verlander and Scherzer, another Hall of Good potential starting
Yes,
pitcher. That
without a
team
doubt.
was not, and think about how they got swept in 2012 too.
To the Giants,
In the World
correct?
Yeah. Yeah, they should have done more than what they did, honestly. I'd even argue they're better than this like current iteration of the Tigers. I think easily.
Oh, yeah, I think they could win they could match up with this current day Dodgers right now and probably beat them, I feel like in 6 games if they were in today's MLB.
What I wanted to throw out there while we were mentioning the 2013 Red Sox, another remember when player. I I don't know your answer for this guy if he's Hall of Good material. Koji Uehara.
Oh, he's in. Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
without a
Okay.
doubt. I Amazing reliever. He came over late in his career, but it didn't matter. I mean, he was effective into his late 30s. I think what was he like 37, 38 in 2013 or something like that? I mean, he was old then and still getting it done.
He's
Yeah,
50 right now. So, um math, yeah, he was
38.
37, 38. That's
Yeah.
that's friggin' ridiculous. He was
Yeah.
spinning that thing.
Crazy.
I didn't realize he was that old during that run. But speaking about the current playoffs, loads of future Hall of Gooders like Jorge Polanco having the run of his life right now. What are your thoughts on the way these four teams are looking right now?
I mean, I don't really do hot takes in my content, and so I don't really have one for you here. I mean, the Dodgers are probably going to win the World Series. I mean, let's be honest. I love to see Mariners versus Brewers with maybe the Mariners coming out on top. Yes, but if you look me dead in the eye, and he's like, who's winning it? It's got to be the Dodgers. I mean, they're just a super team. Like I said, I don't really do hot takes and stuff just for content. I just give my honest opinion. And my honest opinion is that the Dodgers are probably going to cakewalk.
We've talked a lot about football this year. I know baseball is your big thing, but that was like me when we did our first prediction thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna go any hot takes. I'm gonna go who I think is gonna win because this league is predictable, yada yada. So I can definitely respect that.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, until yesterday, I genuinely, like, not even doing it for content, like, genuinely didn't think the Dodgers were going to do it this year because I thought the bullpen had issues. Even though they're just throwing all the starters back there, they've been squeaking by in their wins. But I'm getting deja vu to the second year of the Chiefs back to back when I was like, they're not as good as they were. They're not going to go back to back. And then stuff just went their way like last night, and I'm just like, last night is what it sunk. I'm like, yeah, the league's screwed. We're screwed.
I will
As
say,
well,
I mean, you get into the World Series, and let's say the Mariners make it, because it looks like it's going to be that way for now. I mean, the Mariners' starting rotation is stacked. So, I mean, you get them to throw 3 or 4 straight, quality dominant starts, and then you have a guy like a Polanco or somebody come out of the woodwork and get hot. I mean, anything can happen. I'm just saying it's probably unlikely to happen, if I had to say so.
I think
yeah,
it's
you never
totally
know.
valid. Yeah, 100% valid. The difference between the game last night though was I don't remember who was up to bat with the bases loaded, 2 outs, but he moved out of the way of a pitch he was going to get hit by, and it would have tied the game. So you really just never know. But I'm with you too on, like, even though the Dodgers squeaked by last night, they still look good. Like, fundamentally, their pitching is good. They held the Brewers to 1 run at the end of the day, and they took care of business against the Phillies too. I don't know how anybody's going to beat them in a 7-game series.
I just don't know if it's possible, honestly.
Kills me because I really want that Seattle Pilots World Series, man. Brewers and Mariners,
That'd be so cool.
cinema, neither one appearance between them to the World Series, and I'm really hoping this Mariners team gets it done. I like all of them except the Dodgers in this Final Four. The Blue Jays are fun; they're always fun. Mariners, of course, we've covered them, and then the Brewers winning for Bob Uecker, that would be phenomenal. But here's hoping the Mariners are that 2019 Nationals type magical team that slays the dragon like the Astros that year. I mean, remember it looked like it was going to be a 4-game sweep with the way that Astros team looked.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy run that the Nationals pulled off right there. Just that's one of the more fun World Series winners in recent memory, along with like when the Rangers and the Diamondbacks squared off. It's just fun to have something a little unexpected and kind of refreshing for once.
I agree for sure. Have you had interactions with other big sports content creators on Instagram, and what has that been like?
Honestly, not really. I think it's more so because I don't really show my face a ton in content or do video content. It's kind of just posting, which is by design. Because I'm not always a big, get behind the camera and make a video type person. I've interacted with some of the people from John Boy Media, like Jolly Olive and I have collaborated on some posts before. I've talked to We Got Ice, those guys a couple times in the DMs, but nothing too crazy when it comes to interacting with other people. I usually kind of keep to myself for most of the time, and that's to a certain extent how I like it. Every now and then I feel social, and I'll go out and talk to people in like group chats and stuff like that. But it has happened a little bit, and it's always awesome when it does.
What sorry, the Wi-Fi cut out for a moment, so I didn't catch the end of that, but it happens here. What was the biggest who is the biggest player that has reached out to you in the comments or the DMs or wherever? The biggest starstruck moment you've had?
Um, One would obviously be collaborating with Adam Jones, like you said, and then tomorrow actually I'm getting the opportunity to interview Prince Fielder. I know we brought him up a little bit. And so he followed me, and so I just reached out. I was like, "Hey man, can I please interview you?" I said it a little bit more professionally than that, but then he said yes. And so tomorrow, as long as he confirms, we're gonna do an interview. And so, as somebody growing up in that era that I did, he feels like one of the premier first basemen from that time. And so, just getting to ask him a couple questions for a few minutes is just really cool. And I think I'm gonna be a bit speechless when that happens.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Where will that be posted?
I'm I'm probably gonna try and start up maybe a little bit of a podcast myself if I can get the guests going. I've gotten a few people say they're interested, and so if that can take off to where I can get it going consistently, then that's probably what I'll do. So it'll probably be out, Spotify, YouTube, all the places.
That's awesome, man. Prince Fielder, what an absolute tank, dude. When I think, I don't know why, but when I think like, old Brewers jerseys, I know the rebrand wasn't that long ago, but when I think like old Brewers M and the Brewers logo across the chest, Prince Fielder is one of like the top guys that comes to my mind. So that's absolutely unreal. Must feel like in some ways a full circle moment. We all grew up watching that dude being like, how the hell does a guy that size absolutely rake in this sport?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. I'm a little nervous, but also excited. I've got his bobblehead like 10 feet away from me right now as I'm recording this with you guys. So I'm definitely looking forward to it after work tomorrow.
Well, I'm speaking from experience here. It can be hard to get those big interviews, but with your platform, I mean, that's a shoo-in for guys to want to come on with you. You've proven on a large stage your ball knowledge, and you've built a compelling product that people want to interact with. So Prince Fielder won't be the last. I can't see many guys saying no to this opportunity. That's just unreal, dude. That's gonna be something you remember for the rest of your life.
Thank you, and I will say for you guys too. I've done quite a few interviews, and you guys have come well prepared and everything. So as long as you guys keep going, I really think you guys could get to where you want to be as well. I've had a lot of fun so far doing this.
Oh, thank you, man. This is one of our more fun interviews we've had. We had MLB umpire Phil Cuzzy is someone. I don't know if you know. I've heard of him before, but he's the longest tenured umpire. A player who will shortly be on one of the Savannah Bananas teams, more likely than not. He was just on the Visitors, which is their kind of like introductory team.
Yeah.
We do a bunch of different sports, but been trying to get big guests. You're one of the bigger ones, and I also appreciate you reposting our posts because I've never seen those types of numbers on a non-reel that we've posted.
Yeah, man.
So
Of
that's
course,
huge.
anything to help.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and we got some minor leaguers that I've known. I used to travel and broadcast with a collegiate baseball team. Um, guys on the San Antonio Missions,
Mhm.
somebody in the White Sox. He was drafted by the White Sox this year, Anthony DePino. And then actually, some point in the next few weeks, somebody who's in the Arizona Fall League right now and is on the Salem Red Sox. Or which is higher, the Greensboro Drive or the Salem Red Sox?
The Greenville Drive is a little bit higher than the Salem Red Sox. Salem is
Okay, so he's
lower.
on Greenville.
Yeah.
I knew he was on the whichever one's higher because he got called up. But he's working his way up, maybe on the Sea Dog soon.
What's his
But to
name?
have somebody, huh?
What's his name?
Jay Ulmer,
Oh,
elite
okay.
closer.
I got to see him pitch this year in Salem. I
You
live
saw
right
him
in
pitch?
Salem. Yeah, Salem's in Virginia. It's
He,
like 30 minutes away from where I live.
oh wow.
Yeah.
That I'll have to
Yeah.
tell him that. I talk to him regularly. I've known
Yeah.
him for a few years now.
Yeah, let him know the Hall pretty good as a fan. I don't know if
That's
he follows
awesome.
me or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, let him know that I got to see him pitch
I
and I
think
am
he
a fan.
does.
Yeah, let him know I am a fan.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna text him right after. That's actually partially how I got the name for this. My tagline, when I would broadcast, every time a game would end, it would usually be him getting the save, and I'd go, "Ulmer calls game," and I just would insert different players, so they started linking me to that. So I went with Fiore calls game. So he's a big reason. He's gonna be a stud. That kid can
Yeah.
throw gas, and he did say he's gonna come on at one point. But he's in the Arizona Fall League now, so working his way up. Awesome connection there. I'm definitely gonna tell him you said that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like one thing I would recommend, like you guys are doing, is to get your foot into the door and get these connections. Would be to reach out to like as many minor league guys as you can. They're so much more accessible than the MLB guys, which makes sense because there's just not as much on their plate. Baseball it's still as high of a priority, but it doesn't probably take up as much of their life as a minor league player does. And so whenever I would try to get my foot in the door, whether it's a paper interview or like we're doing right here in an interview, I started by asking minor leaguers to do interviews. And then from there, it kind of helps you build connections or they make the pros, and then now you know a guy in MLB. And so I would say that's the best way to tackle things when you're trying to grow your audience.
Yeah, and it helps that a lot of guys I knew from my job are in the minors right now, and I started a full out camp. I'm like, you know what? I want to like reach out to some athletes because we've been getting a lot of media people, a lot of URI people. We had two guys who used to play for the University of Rhode Island football, and other. I'll send you the list of guests we've had. We've all been on an insane run the last few months, but I shot out to Jet Williams and Carson Benji. I was just thinking like, what are some Mets prospects I know? So I'm gonna get out there shooting for more high level guys too. I've got actually next week we are gonna have the first ever host of Sports Center on the show.
Ooh.
His name is George Grandy. And he's been the Reds broadcaster for decades now. He was the Yankees voice for a while as well, and the Dodgers. So look him up, folks. You have that to look forward to next week. And we've got more on the horizon, but we want to thank you, Bryce, because this was an absolute blast. And I thank you for putting up with. I've had my Wi-Fi cut out about 3 different times here. I don't know if he even showed up, but thank you for putting up with any difficulty that may have come up on your end. I don't know if it even did.
No, it felt like a smooth interview to me. I mean, no complaints on my end whatsoever.
Perfect. And best of luck with Prince Fielder. I know that's going to be awesome, and I'm going to have to tune into that.
Thank you. I'm not as experienced with interviewing as maybe like you guys are, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Just see what happens. But thank you.
Mr. Hall of Pretty Good. May I call you Mr. Hall of Pretty Good?
Whatever you want, man.
I'm kidding. Bryce, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was an absolute blast. Obviously, we've been pretty big fans of yours ever since we discovered you. So kudos to Fiore again for shooting his shot and roping you on in here. But you were a treat, man. The ball knowledge it's insane. I'm just sitting here keeping my mouth shut, watching you two just absolutely like just go nerd for nerd, and it's hilarious, but genuinely it was really fun to just be a part of this. So again, appreciate you coming on and keep doing what you're doing, man. What you're doing is unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys. And anytime you want me to come on, if you ever want me on again for anything, I'm always down. Just shoot me a message. I check my DMs pretty often, but anytime I can come on someplace and talk baseball, especially with people that are knowledgeable about the sport, it's a fun time for me. So thank you guys for having me on.
And I've got to give you a lot of credit for how accessible you are. I remember I went to a Brooklyn Cyclones game this summer for the first time, and I posted some of their retired numbers, which I thought were hilarious because it was guys like Jordani Valdespin, who my fantasy team's named after. And I put it on my story, and you reposted it. And the whole drive with my girlfriend, I would not shut up. I'm like, I'm on the whole pretty good. I'm on the whole pretty good. I texted like every group chat I'm in. So when I wanted a new batch of guests, I was like, you know what? I wonder if he'd come on. So I appreciate you for being like a down-to-earth content creator that's really like about the love of the game and being willing to come and do something like this.
Yeah, man. Usually, I mean, sometimes there are some DMs and stories that I don't see. I just get lost in the shuffle because, like, this isn't my full-time job. So sometimes I miss them. But whenever somebody tries to reach out to me, if I see it, and it's something up my alley, I get some DMs sometimes that like, you suck, stuff like that. But if it's like a genuine DM about a baseball discussion, usually I'll try my best to answer. Sometimes I can only just like it, but if I have the time, usually I try and answer people whenever I can because it's just fun to talk ball with people.
Absolutely. And it was a pleasure talking ball with you. For our viewers, we will have another show Friday at 1 talking about the NFL and MLB playoffs and whatever else is on the radar. And then our next guest, again, George Grandy, first ever SportsCenter host and longtime ESPN host and Reds broadcaster. You name it, he's done it. Tune into that. But Bryce, again, thank you. That's going to do it for us. This is Fiore calling game. Thanks again to Brandon as well for popping out. We'll see you next time.